After attending the Australian Grand Prix last week, the Chinese Grand Prix has delivered one of the biggest generational moments we've seen in Formula One for years. Hi, I'm Josh from the second seat, and this is my Chinese Grand Prix recap. A 19-year-old on pole, a grid featuring sports past, present, and future, and plenty of drama across the midfield. Let's break down everything that's happened in Shanghai. Firstly, the weekend belonged to one man. Kimi Antonelli. The young Italian became the youngest pole sitter in Formula One history, beating previous holder Sebastian Vettel. Antonelli edged out his teammate George Russell by around 2/10 after Russell lost valuable time in Q3 dealing with a gearbox issue. But the real moment came when the grid formed, because sitting right behind the two Mercedes drivers was 7-time world champion and former Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton. For a brief moment there, the grid told the entire story of the modern Mercedes era. Hamilton, the legend, Russell, the established leader, and Kimi Antonelli, the future. Hamilton himself was one of the first people to congratulate the young Italian driver. Moving on, and after the hype of Melbourne, it was a much tougher weekend for sole rookie Arvid Lindblad. Technical problems limited him to just 6 laps in FP1, and from there, the weekend never quite recovered. He was knocked out early in both the sprint and the Grand Prix qualifying sessions, and unfortunately, his troubles didn't end there, with a DNF in the sprint and only managing P12 in the main race, largely due, in my mind, to the failings of the other teams rather than his good racecraft. Conversely, Lindblad's teammate Liam Lawson quietly put together a really solid weekend. Lawson grabbed P7 in the sprint, his best sprint finish to date, and followed that up with another strong P7 in the Grand Prix. It's another example of Lawson steadily building his reliability and reputation as one of the most consistent midfield drivers on the grid. Liam's current position in the championship now, as a result of his finishes in Shanghai, also makes him the first Kiwi to rank so high since the legendary Denny Hulme back in 1967, the year Hulme won the Drivers' Championship. Across the wider Red Bull ecosystem, things still look unsettled. Even reigning champion Max Verstappen has admitted the team still isn't fully aware or understanding of the potential for their current car. There's been flashes of speed, like Verstappen's recovery drives both in Melbourne and glimpses of it during the race yesterday, sound qualifying performances from the junior team, but reliability, rear end stability continue to be major concerns. Battery management has also become a recurring theme across the grid, and is clearly affecting the Red Bull powered team as well. The upcoming break in the calendar as a result of Bahrain and Saudi Arabia being cancelled might come at exactly the right time. That break will also probably be welcomed most by McLaren, who have lemons instead of papayas. Both cars suffered separate electrical problems and ultimately failed to start the race, ending what could have been a very promising weekend. Ironically, the pace looked better than it had in Melbourne, and in particular, Australia's Oscar Piastri continued his impressive qualifying form, again outpacing his teammate and current world champion Lando Norris for the second week in a row. Piastri at times was very much within striking distance of both the Ferraris and Mercedes, and I think at closest he was less than 2/10. Team principal Andrea Stella has come out and suggested the team feels like a customer when it comes to extracting performance from their Mercedes base power unit. And Stella's also insisted they'll be investigating the issues and engaging Mercedes about their potentially withheld PU data to see if they can remediate prior to Japan. Speaking of, with a couple of weeks until Suzuka, the engineers and mechanics back in working will be running overtime to remediate the issues for the McLaren team. One team leaving China, however, with plenty of optimism is Alpine. Pierre Gasly delivered a fantastic performance all weekend, qualifying P7 for both the sprint and the Grand Prix, and he converted that pace into a strong P6 finish on Sunday for the main event. Alongside him, Franco Colapinto scored his first point for the team with a P10 finish, making it the first double points finish for Alpine since Brazil 2024. A huge boost of morale for the French-based team, considering all the conjecture about their future. Then there's Ferrari. The raw pace from the Scuderia Ferrari team looked extremely strong once again, often pushing Mercedes throughout the weekend, but there were a few tense moments on track between Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Whilst it made for extremely good viewing, Leclerc has spent years building his position within the Ferrari system, and many believe he overdue a championship challenge. Hamilton, meanwhile, looks like he's returned rejuvenated after a difficult 2025 season. And if Ferrari can't manage that internal dynamic, the team could find itself battling on two fronts, both against their drivers and their rivals outside the garage. Finally, a quick shout out to Cadillac Formula One team. After large amounts of reliability headaches, both in testing and during the early parts of the season, the team has finally completed its first full Grand Prix distance race with both drivers Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas bringing the cars home in P13 and P15 respectively. Whilst there's not been any points yet, this is a huge step forward for the team in terms of reliability and then moving forward into Suzuka and then post the impromptu break. Overall, the Chinese Grand Prix gave us a new record-breaking pole sitter, a growing midfield battle, and some intriguing team storylines heading into the next phase of the season. For me, the biggest headline though, Formula One might have just found its next superstar, and his name is Kimi Antonelli.